Morning Express on mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
You are listening to the Morning Express on mainland 98.3 FM.
Good morning.
It's a great day. It's a great morning. I want to be assured that it is a great one on the other side. Listening to this frequency, Mainland 98.3 FM. Beautiful morning to you. It is the 5th in the month of May 2026. In a twinkling of an eye, we just experiencing the month of May. The second quarter of the year 2026 is almost going to an end, and then we'll move to the third quarter and then to the fourth quarter, and we bid the year 2026 a goodbye. And a lot is actually happening in the country, outside the country. I mean, a whole lot. When I mean a whole lot, right? When institutions are being challenged, the integrity of institutions in the country, and even the nationality, the test of nationality outside the country, the attacks and everything happening, it could be depressing. I mean, it could be disheartening, but we need to keep the hope alive, right? We need to keep the hope alive. So you're welcome on board. And as much as keeping hope alive, we'll also make sure to keep you abreast, to keep you updated, to let you know what's going on, so we can better shape our reasoning. We can better shape how well we want to react to things and how better we should react to things at every point in time. So you're welcome on board once again to Trends on the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos, all dedicated and designed for you to enjoy and to make your morning a better one, right? A very interesting one. So while you're going on with your other activities, you can always tune your radio station or tune your devices to Mainland 98.3 FM. We have several platforms available for you to join the conversation. A social media platform, precisely Facebook and YouTube, is very much accessible. There you even have an opportunity of an audio visual experience, right? You see, you want to see how it's going on in the studio, and also an audio enjoyment of the conversation. You can also listen via Radio Garden and also via our website www.mainlandfm.com. Our in-house analyst side for also will be helping us to analyze and holistically look at these several issues to see how well we understand and give meanings to all of these trends and updates we have in our daily. So you're welcome aboard once again. My name is Tʀᴇ Yosoye, and we'll be joined in few seconds by in-house analysts side for us. So join us on Facebook, like I mentioned, and YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. That is the handle, at Mainland 98.3 FM, and you can listen via Radio Garden. Either you download the Radio Garden app, or you go on the website and then you search for Radio Garden, but probably you can just search for www.mainlandfm.com and just listen via our website. Good morning, Saifwad.
Yeah, good morning, Lady Mo. How are you doing? I'm
doing very well. I hope you've seek for the service of bodyguards, right? Because you'll be needing you'll be needing bodyguards as from yesterday.
I don't need them.
You don't need it.
I'm fine by myself. No need.
God is protecting you.
The ultimate bodyguard.
Wow.
Divine bodyguard.
Okay. Anyway, if you're surprised why I'm saying that, you get to know why later on in the course of our discussion, right? Everything happening in the country. I mean, you can't speak freely now, and people are asking questions. Are we what regime really are we? Because some are confused if really we are practicing democracy, freedom of speech and all of that or not. Well, yeah, in any way, you're welcome on board, Saifwad.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Just quickly, let's talk about the reaction of the federal government outside. I mean, Nigerians being attacked outside the country before we come back home to see what's happening at home. So the updates we're getting from our dailies this morning on xenophobia, that the federal government is demanding probe into the killings of Nigerians in South Africa. So they are demanding a thorough and impartial investigation into the death of 2 Nigerians in South Africa, which is a move to fast-track the implementation of a bilateral early warning mechanism to address the rising xenophobic tensions and also threats against foreign nationals, according to the spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Right, disclosing that yesterday in Abuja while she was briefing journalists after a closed-door meeting between Nigeria and South Africa's democratic representatives. And the meeting was held between the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Ambassador, and the South Africa Acting High Commissioner to Nigeria as well, among other diplomats. Following the engagement directed by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Odumegwu-Ojukwu herself, and the government said it was worried about the ongoing protests in part of South Africa, where groups, were calling on foreigners, especially black Africans, to leave the country, stating that the situation had heightened fear among Nigerian side forward. Well, that's the update, and also the repatriation, bringing back the process of bringing back those that wants to come back to Nigeria and all of that.
Well, the South African situation is very, very unfortunate, very, very sad. Sad and unfortunate because, again, we as Africans have been talking about, what has been happening in other parts of the world, especially when it comes to the issues of migration, immigration, politics in Europe, in America and other parts of the world. So now have a situation where black Africans are turning against other black Africans on the continent of Africa at this age and time. It is really, really unfortunate. I say because, again, we've had situations like this in the past, so it's nothing new. But I would have thought that we've gotten to a point where Africans will understand the need for solidarity. Africans will understand the need for us to stand together against what is obviously neo-colonialism, or what you call Western imperialism. But unfortunately, you have black South Africans who are currently going through what I call economic apartheid. This is not to make excuse for them, but if you understand their situation, you probably will understand why they are so ignorant, why they are so naive, why they are so, so bad in their thinking, to the point where they think other Africans who are in their country are the ones why they are not thriving as a people. Their government has obviously failed them. Since Mandela got independence for them in the early 90s, you've had successive, presidents and governments afterwards who have done little or nothing to really get them out of the economic doldrum that apartheid kept them. Instead, Jacob Zuma was a complete disaster. Thabo Mbeki, well, maybe not. Since Cyril Ramaphosa came there, he's really not been on top of anything, really, in terms of really bringing out the blacks, to really compete at the highest level when it comes to the prosperity of the nation called South Africa. But again, it is what it is. It's unfortunate, it's sad. I like the fact that the Nigerian government has summoned the South African High Commissioner. Of course, the usual thing would be for them to say, the government is not involved. But what is the government doing to stop the killing? That's the ultimate question. Right. If you say, of course, we expect that the government will say, they were never going to be part of it, they were never part of it. But these are guys who are moving freely in different parts of South Africa, attacking innocent black Africans who are doing, because they say, they are there illegally. What about those Africans who are there legally?
Right.
You go into hospitals and chase people out because they are not black South Africans. You go into schools. Look at this. young children of other black nationals that you go into schools to chase out. It's again, it's unfortunate what Africa has suddenly become. Again, no thanks to the terrible leadership we have across Africa. And when I say terrible leadership, very terrible leadership that we have across black Africa. The whites are there in South Africa enjoying the scene, enjoying the embarrassment. They like it. In fact, that's where they want us to be. They will be happy that blacks are turning against blacks, Lady Mo. That's where they want us to be. And the sad part of the South African conversation is that these are black South Africans that will not dare lift a finger against a white South African, Lady Mo. They will not dare. They don't even try. They don't even go near them. It's really unfortunate. For Nigeria, I was having a conversation with Sage, was it with Sage or with you yesterday? That why can't these guys come up? I think it was with Sage. I said, what about people who have established legitimate business?
Right.
Who for years have established businesses, they give back to their children there. In fact, I saw a video yesterday of a Congolese who was resident in South Africa, who has now decided to leave, but he's married to a white South African. Sorry, he's married to a black South African, and they have to live together here, and they decided to leave. So there are people who have established businesses, who are family rooted, who probably have even married South Africans, who have children in South Africa, who identify as both a Nigerian and a South African. And so for them to just live like that might not be easy. Over 100 Nigerians have already started to come back home now, but I'm sure there are thousands others who may not just be willing to come back because of what they've invested in that country. Very unfortunate. Quite
unfortunate, really. A lot. We're facing the country, we are facing outside the country, right? Just seeking, greener pasture, a better life for yourself, for those that have even been there for years, established themselves and all that. Videos are there. So there are confrontations actually by South Africans, confrontation of the people that even got married, to, white South African and still...
They're even challenging their own women who are marrying.
Side forward, all is well.
And I think Nigerians should exercise some restraint. I've been seeing people calling for the attack of South African businesses in Nigeria.
Violence doesn't solve violence.
And I think we must understand that, look, those businesses that are owned by South Africans in Nigeria, 90% of people who work there are Nigerians. So we should not, we can't go crazy the way they have gone crazy. We must show maturity, we must show exposure. We must show that we are better than them. And by showing that we are better than them, they probably will also learn how to behave better. Right. You understand?
Right. Thank you, Saidfa. Quickly, just within the reports as well, just May 4, we celebrated World Press Freedom Day. And we did several reports of civil society organizations, calling and demanding for protection for journalists, especially to commemorate the World Freedom Day. Even the United Nations, stating that almost 85% of crimes against journalists go unpunished. That we are not done with it, and we're getting a report from the Punch precisely, and I'm sure it's across dailies, that a journalist with the cable, Olalekan Fakoyejo, narrating how he was assaulted by a soldier following an altercation over a traffic obstruction in Ogba area of Lagos State. When he was speaking in an interview yesterday, he is the assistant business editor with the cable, and he said that he just boarded a tricycle from Ikeja to Ogba on Saturday when he encountered the soldiers, and he said the soldiers were directing traffic when his tricycle conveying him, the tricycle conveying him maneuvered around an event center off Ajao Road in Ikeja. And according to him, he said another tricycle had attempted to maneuver through traffic but was pulled over by one of the soldiers, who directed the rider to get down from the tricycle as a form of punishment. And so he said, according to him, the soldier was trying to punish a tricycle driver on a different lane, and he asked the driver to step out and climb on the roof of the tricycle. And when he was doing was causing traffic. What he was doing was causing traffic, and he said that this was causing traffic, and he mentioned that. And he was in another tricycle on another lane, which was not far from where the other tricycle was. And the soldier heard what he said, and he dragged him out of the tricycle, started threatening him and ordering him to, go meet his colleagues who were not close to the incident. He refused to go, telling him he did nothing wrong and he doesn't, have the right to order him to go, report himself to his colleagues. And during the period, he kept pushing him backwards. The soldier towards where, he said his colleagues were. And then one of the colleagues came to speak to him as he was explaining to the colleague that he walked up to them, and the soldier that was threatening him just slapped him immediately. He turned his face towards him, all that. If I go on and on narrating, basically it was a case of assault by the soldier side forward.
The reality is that at some point we probably would have to ask ourselves, truthfully, whether we are in a country or in just a jungle. We just, at some point, and I think as Nigerians, we have to get to the point where we ask ourselves very pertinent questions. And in asking ourselves those questions, we must ask ourselves whether we are actually very exposed, or whether we are still living in the how do I call it now? Because the reality is that there are some things you see, and you just ask, you keep wondering whether we are actually people with that exposure we claim we have. And I think my advice to anybody listening to us, not just journalists,
right,
when you are in the situation like that, please try and leave that place. Just protect yourself. Don't go on and on challenging, rampaging soldiers. If they had killed that journalist, Lady Mo, do you know that nothing will happen?
He's gone, no. He's gone, no. Because
we have a system that is, that is completely. I'm looking for the right word. I'm trying to bring those words out of my head, because the reality is that, look, we have a society that operates on a very faulty foundation. Everything is just wrong about the way we run as a people. This idea of even soldiers telling people not to wear camouflage, whether it is a designer or something. Look, this idea of, you cannot speak to a soldier, they beat people up. Look at the story, Lady Mo. The soldiers were controlling traffic,
right,
near an event center. Was that an official duty? How did the soldiers get there? When we were growing up, Lady Mo, when we were growing up, do you know the impression we got of soldiers? What we knew of soldiers? Number one, the idea was that they don't mean anyhow.
You can't see them, and you can't just see any soldier.
You don't find them or see them anyhow, Lady Mo. I'm telling you, that was the level at which soldiers were revered at that time. You don't find them everywhere and anywhere. You don't even see them around. And even if you don't see them, you're probably going on an official duty and what have you. So, because the only thing at that time was that maybe the only time we even saw soldiers when we were growing up was when maybe they were doing their quarterly exercise, routine. When they have to come out and mass routine, go out and exercise, and then, or maybe they are on something official. That's the only time you see them. But these days, soldiers, you see them controlling traffic, you see them at checkpoints. When there's a land tussle, they are there. They are everywhere. In fact, the celebrity boxing match that we watched over the weekend, Lady Mo, I don't know whether anybody noticed it. Some of the celebrities had soldiers protecting them, Lady Mo. Unless the soldiers were not there but there were soldiers there who were obviously moving around with the celebrities. I think they were protecting them, like I think they were the bodyguards to the so-called celebrities. And if anything had happened there, these are the same soldiers that would have assaulted people. How did they even get to the place in the first place? And so these journalists who had just said, oh, this thing that these guys are doing is obstructing traffic. That was the only thing they heard, though. And they started, because again, why I say people should be careful is that, look, at the end of the day, we don't have a society that will hold them to account, Lady Mo. We don't have we have to tell ourselves the truth. Where there's still this justice crack social media guy that we are still talking about.
Yes,
we are going to get there.
Yes.
We have a society that will not have there will not be justice. Nobody is going to feed them out. It probably will end up like the case of unknown soldier. I'm telling you, That is the society we operate in. Nobody owes anybody to account. If they had killed the journalist, they will leave that place, run away. The army authorities will say they are investigating it, and that's where it will end. And that is where it will end. Because again, we must understand that the temperament of these guys, these soldiers, the way they were trained, they are not supposed to be in a place where they are controlling traffic. I remember speaking to a top military officer, and he said that, look, the average soldier you see out there, the training is completely different. The way they train, their thinking, everything is different from the average civilian. The average civilian is wired to see threat and run away when you see a threat. They say the way they train the soldier is to see a threat and confront the threat. And then you put them up in civilian locations, they are there controlling traffic. Why won't they behave like this? Because they see the average civilian as, oh, you are questioning our own authority. They are not supposed to be in these places. I remember when my grandfather, God bless his soul, was telling me a joke during the Civil War, Lady Mo, just to tell you the average mindset of the soldier, this soldier that you see. And that look, though there was a Civil War, my grandfather then was working in Apapa. And so the soldiers were always coming to load food in Apapa, to load food to the war front. They will come, get food, load food, and take it to the war front. So while the soldiers were doing that with some other workers, then they said there was a masquerade that was coming. The soldiers were busy fighting at the war front. They were in Apapa loading food to take to the war front. And then some people were doing masquerade, and then the masquerade was dancing around. And then the masquerade now got to where the soldiers were. Instead of him to stop dancing and just behave himself, he was him misbehaving dancing. Lady Mo, almost 50 bags of rice, that masquerade. They tell you, we are the one from fighting.
Since you don't know where to draw your food.
You do your nonsense. They say, come here. The masquerade helped the packing bags of rice. So the question is, how do we have soldiers everywhere and anywhere, helping to guard land? There's a land tussle, you gave your girlfriend phone, you told her to come, she did not come, you want to collect the phone back, you send the soldier there. How do soldiers get out of the barracks? How do they get involved with these things? If there was an event center, we don't know the full story. Most probably they were there because somebody there brought them to that place. And look at what has happened.
Possibly.
I don't know. Well, the cable can make the report. The military authorities say they are investigating, but will journalists ever get justice? That I don't know. And it's not just the journalists. The average Nigerian out there, please.
Right.
Until we get to a society that we know is functional. The Nigerian society now is defective. It is just the reality.
Side forward, a lot happening, and then the irony of it all is when someone is coming out, to call out the government to be accountable for the better welfare of soldiers. These same soldiers that, and then at the end of the day, you are being, arrested, arraigned, remanded in courts, and all sorts. I have a short, soundbite just to take us through the story of Justice Crack, right? Popularly known as Justice Crack. So give me just a few minutes. Tʀᴇɪᴅs Mark is his name, the social media personality who just, came on a viral video on X, demanding better welfare for soldiers. Seeing what they feed them. Soldiers, what they feed them, like to fight. I know as a bricklayer, I know what they feed. They feed on just to get them strong.
And to people putting up their lives, putting their lives on the line.
Let alone people that face death on a daily basis. Give me a few minutes. I'll be back so people can have a better understanding. Because when I was seeing videos, people have gone to protest his release and all that. Even Sowore, the activists also are taking it up. Even talk to the AGF and all that, demanding justice and all that. Let me just give me a few minutes and run through the few clips that I have here with me for better understanding. Thank you.
Yes, look at the food that your soldiers are eating. I uploaded a video past the goal. It never even reached 1 hour. A military personnel sent me this picture. This is what the Nigerian army, the Nigerian government are feeding our soldiers in Maiduguri morning, afternoon, and night. Look at that rice. One small rice like that. Look at the small garri. And look at that soup that look like vomit. This is what they feed the people that are defending Nigeria. This is the food they give to people who are facing terrorists every day. Whereby we are in a country that the federal government is spending 604 million naira to rehabilitate the radicalized terrorists. Now, this is what I'm talking about. This is why I'm saying that the terrorism we're still facing in Nigeria today is as a result of Nigerian government pampering terrorists. We're in a country where the government is treating the terrorists better than the military. How can you feed a military personnel this? No wonder most...
Free Justice Crack! Free Justice Crack! Free Justice Crack!
Nigerians are not hungry enough! Nigerians are not hungry enough! Nigerians are not hungry enough! To the injustice!
The young man was kidnapped in Abuja here, in broad daylight, without due recourse to the rule of law.
Yes.
Nobody in this country, either the governments, the military, or the police has the right to forcefully abduct any Nigerian and force him to disappear without recourse to rule of law. An arrest cannot be enforced or carried out without proper administration compliance with rule of law. Where a Nigerian citizen, freeborn, is abducted in broad daylight without access to his families, to his children, to his lawyers, and to his doctors, that amount to forced disappearance, and this clearly violates every non-national and international law.
That's my own decision. I won't ask anybody to go and do the what. No, it doesn't run like that.
But you know, as the Minister of Justice, it's your duty to do justice from wherever you are. Whether you are in Paris, because you are the Minister of Justice of the Federation of Nigeria, you are the Attorney General of the Federation. If it warrants that you take a decision that saves someone's life, are you saying you will not take decision because you are not in town?
This one does not affect, when you talk of life, everybody is like, even breathing and everything is life. You understand what I'm saying? But on this occasion, I don't see the need for it to take any decision under merely because I've heard one side, I've not heard the other side. So you have to wait till Wednesday, if need be. That's my decision. I'm sorry, Mr. Shugure.
Well, we disagree with you, Minister, but I've heard you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, Said Fuad. I mean, from what he said, from what this social media person had mentioned, that's Justice Crack, and to the protests demanding for his release, justice for him, to the what legal practitioner also said about his right and all that being trampled on, and also Shugure, the activist, going about with this case as well. He even spoke to the AGF. That's the last voice when he was speaking to the AGF and what the AGF said about the issue. And so he has been remanded in court and even adjourned till he will be in custody till May 20, latter part of this month, I guess. And though they are still working on, they're still going about his bail application and all that. But Said Fuad.
Well, again, very, very unfortunate, very, very sad. Let's even just take it. Let's be a bit methodical about the whole thing. Now, this was a guy who had put out a video. I think from the video he said these people sent these things to him.
Yes.
And basically, what was he showing in that video? What we as a country, because whatever happens, whether it's the military authorities or the government, it is the Nigerian state that is feeding that to soldiers who are on the front lines, who are practically putting down their lives to ensure that you and I and every other Nigerian can sleep with their two eyes closed. And that is what we are feeding them, Lady Mo. Now, he had put out the video to say, this is the situation of our soldiers. So they are being killed. Every day we talk about the need to boost their morale, the need to motivate them, the need to encourage them. These are our heroes. These are heroes, and we should not be feeding them worse than a dog, Lady Mo. In fact, some of the food that he had posted, I'm sure some of us cannot even give it to our dog at home, Lady Mo. How much more that is what we are feeding our heroes who go out there confronting death. Look, Lady Mo, when a top general is killed, it makes the news. Do you know that in this war against insurgency, soldiers have been killed in their numbers? Junior soldiers, low-ranking soldiers. Because before you get to a general, before you can kill a brigadier general, I am sure that you must have killed not less than 10 junior soldiers, Lady Mo. Because anytime, the brigadier is killed, it makes the news. We talk about, we know it's painful because we are talking about our high-ranking soldiers. But what people don't know is that before you can bring down a brigadier general,
right? Even if it's an ambush, because it cannot be on its own, you must have taken out quite a number of other soldiers, younger or more junior soldiers, to get to the general. And to see that is now, this thing, the video had gone out, it had gone viral. For some of us in the media, we were hoping to get the response of the Nigerian military to debunk that video. And I've always said it here, Lady Mo, even as a year one student of public relations, one of the first things they would teach you in things like this is to use facts. If you say that was, how do I put it now? If that was falsehood, if what had been put out was false, how do you correct falsehood, Lady Mo? You bring out the true facts.
Bring that in. So what are the expected military to do is to say, Emma won't get time for more. Show us the food you give to them. On a daily basis, this is a ration. This is the catering arrangement we have for them. In fact, in the morning, they have jollof rice, a big chicken, a bottle of Coke with. Let us see what that would have now said, where did this guy get his phone? Fully inside to inside violence. And then when the authorities pick him up, we might not begin to say, maybe there's something to eat. Maybe he was just trying to be mischievous. Up till today, I have not seen the authorities, military authorities, tell us what exactly they feed these guys on a daily basis. What is their fooding routine? What is the catering arrangement? How do you get the food to them? Only for him to be missing for almost a week, Lady Mo. Then the wife came out to say, I can't find my husband. And then the noise started on social media, only for him to be sneaked to the DSS, who has now taken him to court on falsehood and trying to incite violence. Lady Mo, let it make sense to me. Let anybody out there tell me this makes sense. Let anybody out there tell me that we're actually running a country, Lady Mo. No, anybody out there should come and tell me that we are actually running a country and that this is normal. That this is normal, that a guy who should even be considered a whistleblower has now been turned into a criminal, to the point where he will now be, unless the Attorney General intervenes now on Wednesday. And thanks to people like Sowore, this is what we keep saying, who go out there selflessly to defend, defenseless Nigerians, poor Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians, at the risk of their own lives too, Lady Mo.
Of course.
The only thing that will get, because now the case has been adjourned till May 25, Abby.
Yes.
First, the guy had illegally spent almost 1 week in the custody of God knows who. They now said it was the military that took him. They took him, was there an arrest warrant? There was nothing. It was until his wife shouted before they now took him to the DSS. The DSS promptly arraigned him in court. The judge now adjourned the matter till May 25. So he will be there. Only because he had raised concerns about the welfare of our heroes that we talk about every day. And look at the way he compared it. Let us now pitch that against the way we pamper people who kill Nigerians, terrorists, bandits, and kidnappers. Let's put it against it. Does it not make sense that we have Nigerians who can put out this kind of statements and videos?
More concern is Said Forward. Now, this is not even a case of probably the management, I mean, the management at the top doesn't even know what is happening, how they are feeding these people, and then maybe fear of
I'm not saying that video is true or not. What I'm saying is that in this job, I'm sure the military has a PR department.
That's what I'm saying.
Bring out the facts. Let's see what you give to these guys. Look, at our own little level, we know the reality of our soldiers. Lady Mo, we know what you are saying. We know the challenges, the level of welfare they get, whether they are the war front or not. Are we really taking care of them? Can we as a people, can the Nigerian government, the military authorities beat their chest to say they are taking care of the soldiers the way they should? We come here, we can say whatever we want to say. It's just like the same thing we say of police officers. Yes, when they behave badly, we condemn them. But have we asked ourselves very critical questions about also their welfare? Because it starts with welfare. You don't expect somebody to behave like a normal person when they are not well taken care of. They will know, so they will be civilians now, economy. That's why when they see civilians, they just brutalize everybody. Because how do you stay in the bush for months, stay at the war front for months? You are being fed that garbage, that nonsense, and you come out and behave like a normal person. Can the military authorities come and tell us what they give to our soldiers at the front line? We need to see the food. What is the catering arrangement? This idea of the military have a routine. The reality is that we need to look. Every Nigerian deserves some level of accountability when it comes to this thing, because we're also talking about Nigeria. These soldiers are Nigerians. Their fathers and mothers of ordinary Nigerians. When they die, their children become orphans. Who takes care of them? Oúnjẹ gidi àtúnlé fún wọn. Oúnjẹ, a simple thing as food.
Side forward. Because sometimes some questions and some concerns are, I don't know, because we are fighting for this, we are fighting for that. We are not even fighting for better welfare. Let's fight for better welfare.
Look, we are not talking about housing. We are not even talking about housing. No. We are not talking about health. We are not talking about quality education for their children. But we are even talking about a basic thing as food. Food for those at the war front. Food, quality food. Don't just give me.
You have been picked up for fighting for yourself, and then you have been picked up for fighting for people that are saddled with responsibility. Side forward.
And you know the sad part of it. Look at, apart from people like Szoğᴜ, who I think everybody has just gone back, it's as if everything is normal. Look, the civil society organizations are quiet, the NBA is quiet, everybody is quiet as if it is normal. We are not outraged.
Well, Saidfa, thank you very much. We'll move on with the analysis. Still trends in the papers on Mela 98.3 FM. We're going through what's happening in our dailies, the trends we have, the updates we have in our newspapers, majorly the Punch, the Vanguard, the Guardian newspaper. You can join us on Facebook and YouTube at Mela 98.3 FM. That's the handle, or on Radio Guardian, as well as our website, www.melandfm.com. Saidfa, let's quickly go into the political space and what's happening, especially for the contest towards the presidential contest towards 2027 election. It's no news anymore that Peter Obi Kwakwanso had gone to the NDC, and even him ignoring the ADC's policies to focus on the 2027 ticket. That's a statement to Abdullahi. For better, let me just break it down, because there's so much angle to this very issue. But let me start from somewhere. ADC, according to the ADC Congress described the departure of Peter Obi and Rabi Kwakwanso from its platform as a setback, but they insisted it was not a fatal blow to the party's 2027 ambition. That's according to the party's publicity secretary, Bolaji Abdullahi. He was saying this yesterday during an interview, and he said that Obi, of course, with the Labour Party 2023 presidential candidate Kwakwanso, had gone to the who ran from the NMPP platform, that's Kwekwento, briefly aligned with the ADC as part of efforts to, to forge a broad opposition coalition ahead of the 2027 elections. But both men have since, defected to the Nigerian Democratic Congress, demanding an end to litigation-driven policies or politics as they reposition the 2027. And of course, his loyalists, that's the obedient rights movement, faithful, and also floored the NDC within hours of his move. So hours after he also joined the NDC, the obedient movement, had declared a decisive shift in its political direction, aligning fully with the party as the next platform for advancing its reform agenda. Of course, here and there, so many reactions. And according to the ADC, I have a soundbite I quickly want to play from Abdullahi of the ADC about Obi and the defection and also Kwekwento movement. Just give me a few seconds so we can align better and give better analysis to that.
All right.
Anyone who wants to leave the coalition is free at any point to leave free. But you don't have to be given this excuse, because sometimes you come across as if you are whining.
Well, they have to give reasons.
No, that's what I'm saying. But you don't come
to justify their leaving. Why do you think he left then, if you don't think that the reasons he gave are plausible?
I may be wrong, but I'll tell you why I think he left. I think it's premeditated. It just happened last Saturday. It's premeditated, and you can verify it. About 2 months ago or so, he had a meeting with Seriake Dixon in Kano with Kwankwaso. That week, Kwankwaso was making up his mind to come to the ADC. Then they had that meeting in Kano with Seriake Dixon. Then after that meeting, I went to see Governor Dixon. I said, Governor Dixon, Kwankwaso was planning to join the ADC until you met with him in Kano. Then he began to do this and this. I hope you are not trying to set up a different platform, because when you do that, you will have divided the rank of the opposition and given the incumbent an opportunity to come back to power. I hope that's not what you're trying to do. He said, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. Actually, the NDC, I have it. If anything happens to ADC, you guys can come. I said, but who else has this understanding with you? Is this understanding that you have a shared understanding? Then he said, yeah, then I explained to him. Now, what I'm saying is that all this had been pre-planned. And that is why it's easy for some people to begin to look back and wonder whether Governor Rabiu Kwankwaso was actually not a Trojan horse that was brought into the ADC.
You're talking about divisions.
Yes.
I mean, the argument that's being made is that there are, by implication, divisions within the ADC itself. That if you've got all these big wigs in there with enormous egos and ambitions, and you were not going to settle for a consensus candidate.
No.
What we're going to have is political warfare. So the divisions were already there.
We were going to settle for consensus because, like you rightly said, there was no possibility of us doing direct primary.
Right.
The Electoral Act.
So the impression was that that consensus was leading in a particular direction.
Yeah, whether it was leading in a particular direction,
right, or in the direction of
or it was slow in coming. Right. What you see, honestly, I think the kind of party, the kind of party that a Peter Obi needed was the party he's in now. A party that belongs to one man that he can say, I guarantee you the ticket before you come in. But in a political party like a coalition,
right,
where a lot of negotiations need to happen, where you cannot take anybody for granted, where you have to make sure you keep everybody within the coalition, even when they don't get what they want, and it requires inspiring people and giving them reasons to stay. I don't think Peter Obi can survive in such environment. And that's why he's gone to NDC, because NDC can promise him the ticket. And now, when he started his romance with Rabiu Kwankwaso, it became, we're trying to create a scenario that he not only wanted the party.
All right, that was Abdullahi Okay, that was Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC's National Publicity Secretary, during an interview yesterday. Side forward, according to him, he said it was premeditated. It's something that it didn't just not just happen even after their defection and all of that. And there's this call for Atiku to NDC. Buba Galadima also had been calling.
Telling Atiku to go to NDC. Okay, so let me even start with that. So if Atiku decides now, just imagine that we wake up tomorrow and Atiku decides to defect to the NDC. We say Dixon say he should not come. So if he defects to the NDC, what happens again? And decides that he wants to go and fight for the APC for the presidential ticket in the NDC, what happens? I will not answer the question. Now this is the thing, Lady Mo.
And there's also the obstacle of court issues here and there, legal, that they want to start in the NDC again too.
No, that one is another issue. There's a particular something Ado.
Yes, Ado. That is claiming to go to court.
Was illegally registered by INEC, and that look, they did not follow the necessary procedure, and that even on INEC website, NDC was only registered because of a court order. And I've seen some other reports that have said that he has said he's going to court again to challenge INEC decision to register NDC, while they had made effort to register, remember, the ADA, and that he had even personally paid 200 million, followed everything. They were almost at the final lap of getting ADA registered before INEC stopped it. So that's also another conversation. Right. If he decides to go to court today again, we'll start to have that conversation. Now, I don't know whether I can now go to court to say INEC should register NDC. I don't know. Lawyers will sort that out. But on the issue of the opposition, I carefully listened to him yesterday. And you see, if you had been following my analysis, Lady Mo, and if people have also been following the analysis of my analyst on Political Roundtable, in fact, just 2 weeks ago, I remember we talked about delayed gratification. Mr. Curtis Adigba, Muyiwa Adeyemi Nurudeen, all agreed on one thing, including myself as a presenter, that the only way the opposition can have a chance against President Bola Ahmed in 2027 is, number one, to present a single candidate, Lady Mo. They must all work together to present just one candidate.
Side forward, can you do me a favor? Because we have to play. We have to, play some commercials. Can we do this after that?
All right.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. All right, we'll step aside shortly, and then we'll be back after this commercial break. Good morning.
You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. The sound of Lagos.
Yes, who is there?
Grandpa, it's me.
Oh, my child, how are you doing today?
I'm fine. Grandpa, can I have milk or sweet?
I have only one here, and I'll take it after my meal. Check with your dad.
Grandpa, give me.
What's the problem?
Grandpa refused to give me milk or sweet. Daddy, can I have money to buy milk or sweet, please?
That's Grandpa's usual habit of hiding one in his pocket and showing you another one.
Okay now, my child. Here is milkers. Have it.
Oh yeah, thank you, Grandpa.